Hey everyone, Paul here with Diode Dynamics, coming to you today with another shootout video. This time we're comparing Jeep Wrangler and Gladiator headlights for the newer JL and JT models. Now these are known as 9-inch headlights compared to the more traditional 7-inch found on the older JK Jeeps. But we're going to take a look at all these today, compare features, price points, and take a close look at how these really perform. Now the first thing we're going to talk about is what are you getting for your money with these headlights? And that's because the functions of these headlights, what they actually do, really varies quite a bit. Of course, all of these lights are going to be your basic headlight functions of low beam and high beam. But from there, some of them get pretty crazy. So let's take a look at those functions and how that compares to the price, starting with that factory halogen light. Now, you probably only have these if they came on your Jeep, but if you're looking to get a replacement set, you can find them for about $300 in good condition. And these are just going to be providing you with the basic functional requirements for your headlights, a low beam and high beam. Now your vehicle may be running a daytime running light with the low beam at low power, but that's all you get. You don't get any halo in these, you don't get any signature light. You can of course open these up and install some features yourself if you want to get into retrofitting, but generally you're going to get the basics with the halogen light. Next up, let's just take a look at the OEM LED headlight. Now this is a big step up from halogen. You've got that projector in the center that's going to give you the low and high beam LED. That's what we would call a bi-LED projector, both low and high. And you add in a lot of signature lighting elements as well. So you've got that halo around the perimeter and a reflector at the top and bottom lights up, which gives it a great look at night, still maintaining that circular illumination. So you've got your main functions covered as well as a signature light. And as we'll see, the performance of these is quite good, but these come at a cost. If you didn't get them with your Jeep, they're going to be at least $1,000, and you might need wiring accessories and reprogramming to get them working. You can buy a whole kit with a programmer even for $2,000 I saw online. So somewhere in that $1,000 to $2,000 price range, and of course you got to find ones that are in really good condition if you want to get them used. These are still going to be an investment, but they're pretty good performers for those three basic functions. Now we're going to take a look at the aftermarket options, starting with the cheapest one we could find, $200 a set directly from Amazon, and that's going to be low beam and high beam projector, if you can call it that. It's the performance you'll see, and it does have a signature halo that lights up as well. So you get some basic functions, and for $200 a set, I really don't think it's worth it, but I'll let you make that decision in a second. Next, we take a pretty big step up with the rough country model. This also is very similar looking to the aux beam model, and these are going to be $500, also available online. Now these have a low and high beam projector and a signature halo with a unique cross shape in the center. They also come with a wiring adapter, so they're compatible with factory halogen and factory LED. Now these are a big step up in styling and quality, but as you'll see, performance still isn't quite there, and it's just those standard features of low, high, and that signature light. Now moving over here, we've got the next step up, which is the Oracle Oculus headlight. Now these have been on the market for some time, and they offer a low and high beam bi-LED projector along with signature lighting. In this case, it's the halo on the outside. These start at $660 for the basic model, but they have a couple variations, whether it's a switchback halo signature light, which flashes amber. We can do a multicolor Bluetooth feature, and that'll run you up to about $850. There's even a heated lens option if you get in those northern states. So we are starting to get into some more functionality, but I should mention at this stage, with this Oracle Oculus headlight, we still have signature lighting. It's not technically a daytime running light or a turn signal function. DRL and turn signals have to meet a certain level of performance and output to be highly visible on the road. If they're not bright enough, even if they change different colors, it's really still just a signature light, and for safety, it's best and legal to keep your original lights intact. This one has those functions, but you still need a factory legal turn signal installed with one of these lamps. And that brings us to our smallest option on the table, and that's because it's a 7-inch lamp. That's the JW Speaker Evo J3. And the reason we wanted to bring this out for you is because JW Speaker is well known for the Jeep Wrangler applications, but it's really for the JK in that 7-inch model. Technically, according to this JW Speaker's website at the time of this filming, this is not compatible with the JL Wrangler. However, there's plenty of people who are getting these in bucket adapter kits and trying to get them installed on the JL. Wiring can be a little bit of a challenge on these. It's not a simple plug and play situation, but if you do get them working, you get quite a bit of features. And in this lamp, this is where we start to see real functionality shine through. We have a road legal turn signal on these as well as a DRL, providing the amount of output necessary for legal use. And with that, you can even replace your factory turn signals because one is providing this light that meets that legal requirement. It might seem like something small, but it is important that you're really visible while you're driving around. These also offer some really unique features, including a show mode and a trail light that illuminates, and it even can connect to your smartphone through an app. Now, all of that functionality does come at a huge price of $1,400. And then if you want to adapt that into your JL, you need to get another adapter set for about $300. So you're looking around $1,700 for this total investment in these lights. But it's a great quality unit. You can see there's a lot more functionality in these, and these are made and assembled in the United States. JDB Speaker is a great company, and if you can get these working on your vehicle, and if you want to make that type of investment, it's not a bad decision. Now finally, that brings us to the Diode Dynamics Elite series headlights, which obviously I'm going to be biased because we assemble these here right in the United States, and we completely design these from the ground up. But not only that, I personally have a JL Wrangler, a 2018 Sahara, and I've been running these for some time. I love them. They're great headlights in performance, function, everything. They really check a lot of boxes. We do offer them in two different variants. The Elite model is going to include the bi-LED projector for both low and high beam. And as you'll see, it's a great output with a really wide beam pattern spread. And it's going to have a signature halo LED lighting up around the perimeter. Kind of like the factory, we also have reflectors at the top and bottom, and those are going to illuminate as an accent light, again with that factory styling to just illuminate the whole headlamp at night. Then we get into the more unique features here. So you can connect these into your turn signals to blink that signature light in an amber color. Now, just like the Oracle and other ones on the table, that's not going to be a legal turn signal, but it's a nice extra accent light blinking with your factory installed turn signal. Then the Elite series also has a whole patent pending programming system that allows you to change functions from right behind the wheel. The main one being here, we can change the white to an amber signature light anytime we'd like. Again, you can do that from behind the wheel. You don't have to get any wiring or anything. There's a programming sequence. It's really simple to do. And with that, we also have a welcome animation on these that just illuminates a nice pattern of lights every time you unlock the vehicle. Now, the Elite model is designed to be more competitive with other options on this table with the low, high, and signature light effect. And for that reason, it's priced at a more competitive $800 a set. Of course, you have programmable functions and a welcome animation, but it's still most comparable with all the other ones here. Finally, we have the top of the line model here at Diode Dynamics, and that's what we call the Elite Max. Now, this builds from the basics of the Elite model, including the LED projector unit for low and high beam and that outer halo signature light. But then we take things much further with a DRL optic, which we call the DRL bars on either side of that projector. These serve the purpose of a road legal daytime running light and a road legal turn signal. So that makes these lights perfect if you're doing a fender chop and removing that factory turn signal in DRL. These also have that programmable function as well. Again, from right behind the wheel, you can change a number of features on these lights. The first one being going from a white to an amber DRL. That amber DRL is a pretty distinctive look these days, and based on your build and your vehicle color, it could really help you stand out. Finally, we've got a couple extra functions packed in. Those top and bottom reflectors, which were just accent lights on the Elite model, now are packed with extra LEDs and dedicated heat sinks to serve as off-road or trail lights. This is just going to provide a really wide and even broad spread of light to assist when you're off-roading with your Wrangler or Gladiator. These also have a show mode, which allows you to either run through that welcome sequence and animation or enter a strobing function to catch attention whether you're off or you're trying to get attention on the side of the road. So as you can see, there's a lot of functionality packed into the Elite series headlights, and that Elite Max is going to run $1,000, right on par with the OEM LED. But much more function comes with that. Of course, functionality aside, we really do need to look at how these lights really perform. And for that, we're going to take you through each one, the low and high beam performance, and just show you the output and describe the patterns. We've tested all of these in our in-house light tunnel to get some real data. Let's check it out. We'll start with a halogen low beam. Now, as you'd expect, this isn't going to be great performance. It's a halogen reflector headlight, but for modern standards, it's not too bad. We have almost 25,000 candela with a 60-degree width and 11-degree height. Now, the biggest failing of this is going to be that width. It's really not very wide at all, and of course, we don't have a very sharp, defined cutoff pattern. It'll provide light to the road, but it's not going to be a really nice experience while driving at night. We have that 3000K color temperature as well, and this does pass the DOT standards for low beam output. If we take a look at the high beam, that's actually going to illuminate the other filament in that dual filament halogen bulb and add some light shining above and further down the road. We do get up to 31,000 candela here, and it is passing for that DOT compliance as well. Next up is our factory LED model, and this is honestly a really solid performing LED headlight, especially considering it came out in 2018. Now, in terms of factory LED headlights, this one's actually pretty good. We can see we have a sharp defined cutoff pattern with 35,000 candela and a clear hot spot where we want to direct the light down the road. But we do see quite some artifacts and some strange patterns happening, and as we look at the other headlights in this series, you really do want to look closely at that. Anything where there's artifacts is going to be showing up on the road and being a little distracting, not really giving you full coverage for a smooth driving experience at night. This one does have that 75-degree width, and it's going to be that 6000K color temperature with the LED. For the high beam, we add a lot of light, getting up to 53,000 candela, clearly a huge upgrade over the halogen, and it's going to shine really nice and focused down road. It's still going to be that passing DOT score as well, like you'd expect from a factory headlight. These are going to come at a cost at around $1,000 a set, not including any adapters or converters you might need to make it work on another trim of Jeep. Next up, we have our lowest cost headlight in the bunch. Is straight from Amazon, really no brand on this. And what's interesting with this, so you look at the low beam pattern, it looks really wide, it looks good, but then you look at that intensity number. At less than 20,000 candela, it's really not an upgrade at all, and there's really no clear defined hotspot. That means we're just not going to be shining light down road, even though this will be shining light just about everywhere with a pretty wide pattern. This is what you can expect if you buy something that's no brand or no name on it. You're going to be shining light somewhere, but is it going where you want? Probably not. And here you can see we have a really short foreground with a kind of a strange bottom cutoff on it as well, which is definitely going to be distracting while driving. And importantly, this headlight does not pass the DOT points for a number of reasons, both in low beam, and then if we look in the high beam, we're just going to add a little bit of light at the top, and it's still not going to be passing the DOT for low or high beam. Honestly, there's a lot of options for what you can find online. There's a lot of cheap headlights and more expensive headlights, but I'd ask please at least find something in the middle, because you're really not doing yourself any favors if you go with the cheapest headlights out there. It really shows, and the output is going to be a huge downgrade from either halogen or LED. Next up, we have the Rough Country headlight, which looks very similar to the Auxbeam branded headlight as well. This one does step up the intensity a bit at just under 35,000 candela, and you can see it's got a nice sharp cutoff at the top with a lot of foreground all the way down, but it's really not very wide. And more importantly, this also does not have a focused hotspot, which is going to project light down the road where we need it to go. For that reason, it does not pass the DOT testing in our tests as well. Now, when we light up the high beam, we can see that there's a lot more output directly down the center, which is what you want. But in this case, it's far too much light, it's a lot of glare, and it's going to be exceeding the standards for on-road use. The problem with this is that it's only in the center. It's really narrow, which means you're not going to be lighting up the full area that you really want for a high beam use. It's just a lot of light, but it's only right in the middle. So this also fails as a high beam as well. Not really great as a high beam to fill all the driving area that you need to see. Next up is our Oracle Oculus headlight. And we go up in price a bit on this, and the performance is improved as well. At 42,200 candela, this is a step up in that low beam intensity. And as you can see, we're getting more of a focused hotspot on this. We have that sharp cutoff at top, but almost similar to the previous one, we've got a huge amount of foreground and just a 60-degree width. So again, not too much width, a lot of foreground, but at least this has a little bit more of a focused hotspot to it. On this headlight, unfortunately, we also do not pass the DOT test points, mainly because we don't have any light shining above the cutoff. And usually you don't want glare, so that's a good thing, but the regulations do require a little bit of light so you can effectively light up signs and see everything in your general forward view. In this case, we aren't passing those test points. For the high beam on the Oracle Oculus, we're again just going to be adding a little bit of light in the center, and our intensity only increases slightly to just under 42,000 candela. Again, we're not adding width, we're not adding any light above that cutoff really, just in the center. So we are going to be seeing further down the road, but we're still failing that DOT testing, and we're not really getting a nice wide spread of light that we want for high beam use. Next up, we've got that JW speaker. Technically it's a 7-inch, but it's the Evo J3, and we wanted to include it because of how well known JW speaker is within the Wrangler and Jeep market. Now, these use the same sort of multi-optic style that JW speaker is well known for, and as a result, the beam pattern is kind of stacked together and very interesting compared to the others. When you use a single projector, you're able to get a much smoother, more homogeneous and blended output. Instead, JW speaker stacks together different optics, and as a result, we've got a unique beam pattern that's really wide with almost a streaky look to it in some cases, and you can see that center cutoff is just a little bit of a slant from one individual optic, just a really unique, distinctive look. But it does perform with just under 24,000 candela and a nice width at 80 degrees wide, along with a 5000 K color temperature. And importantly, this does pass the DOT testing we performed. And switching over to high beam, we can see, again, a really unique pattern thanks to those layered optics in the JW speaker design. As a result, again, we've got some serious streaks, including one straight through the middle here, and we have a really, really strong hot spot straight down the road, which is just going to shine with a ton of light at just over 80,000 candela. With this high beam, you can see how they have added additional light above the pattern as well, which will really improve the blending and overall usefulness of this high beam pattern. And this one, again, does pass DOT test points. Now, personally, I think this is a really unique beam pattern with the way those optics are layered, but it does give you performance if it's not going to be too distracting. And as you'd expect from any reputable manufacturer like JW Speaker, they did pass our FMVSS compliance tests we ran here. Finally, we've got the Diode Dynamics Elite series. Now, like I mentioned, these use the same projector between the Elite and Elite Max model, so the actual base performance of low and high beam is going to be the same for the two models. And the low beam is no slouch. At 61,000 candela, this totally outperforms any other low beam here on the table today. And we've got a really nice width, while really paying attention to how homogeneous or smooth the whole beam pattern is. The result is a really nice, smooth appearance while driving without any distractions. We are still getting some light above that pattern, just enough to light up those signs, and as a result of that hot spot, some sign light, the nice wide, smooth pattern, we are passing the DOT test points. When we activate the high beam, we can see how additional light is added. We're not taking away anything, meaning we still have a really nice wide beam pattern, and we're adding light all the way above that cutoff, including a lot of light down the center. This means we have a highly functional high beam performance, and it still passes the DOT testing for on-road use. Overall, the whole package is a nice wide pattern, really smooth output for a really enjoyable driving experience, while still performing much more light than the factory options or other options that we've evaluated here today. So with that, we've looked at a wide range of different price points and performance levels for a lot of different headlight options for the JL Wrangler and JT Gladiator. As you can see, the range really is huge, going all the way from really cheap and not so great, all the way up to decently priced and much better performance than even those factory lights. Now, if you're interested in looking at headlights, don't forget to check out fog lights as well. At Diode Dynamics, we design and assemble a series of Elite Series fog lights too, which can really help in inclement weather or to illuminate extra foreground. With that said, I hope you've learned something here today, and if you have any questions about your build or setup, please feel free to give us a call. If you'd like to pick up a set of the Diode Dynamics products, please visit a dealer near you or give us a call and visit us online. Thanks for watching, and subscribe so you get the next Shootout delivered right to you.